Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was getting the easy one out of the way. The hard one out of the way. This is going to be fairly straightforward. Wow, tough crowd. AB 24 is a public safety bill. This measure reinforces a minimum set of safety standards by requiring all drivers of charter party carriers such as limousines, buses, and transportation network companies to 1. Be enrolled in the DMV Employer Pull Notice Program, and 2. To participate in a drug and alcohol testing program. Additionally, a third provision AB 24 requires is for TNCs to register any vehicle used under its platform with a PUC, with the PUC, and requires the vehicle to display a suitable PUC-issued identifying symbol. Time and time again, we have heard opponents argue that regulation and any law will threaten app-based transportation and stifle innovation. AB 24 does not jeopardize app-based transportation companies, nor does it apply any regulations to the technology behind this emerging industry. What AB 24 does, however, is set 3 minimum safety standards when transporting people that do not go beyond what it is current practice for transportation companies in this state. Currently, TNCs are required to implement a zero-tolerance policy. However, the drivers are not tested. Only if there's a complaint or an accident due to the driver being intoxicated is the driver then terminated. Complaint-based systems are helpful, but they do not take into account instances where the passengers are intoxicated themselves or the mere fact that passengers are not trained professionals that are able to identify if someone is intoxicated. Drug and alcohol testing serves as a powerful deterrent and relies on actual certified expert testing. AB 24 will require a drug testing program to ensure that commercial drivers are not driving while intoxicated. Currently, charter party carriers are required to register each of their vehicles and display an identifying symbol on those vehicles in order to receive an operating permit from the PUC. Similarly, to increase transparency, accountability, and safety, AB 24 will require TNCs to comply with these same requirements. A series of high-profile incidents involving TNC drivers accused of assaulting, kidnapping, drug charges, harassing, and stealing from passengers has made the issue of public safety that much more important. Public safety should be the legislature's first priority. AB 24 will give the statutory authority needed to promote the safety of our constituents and all Californians. And with me, Mr. Chair, is Marshall McLean, President of the Los Angeles Airport Police Officers Association, Aaron Reed, Barry Broad, and Christopher Quinn. Thank you.
So as a matter of three testimonies, 2 minutes apart, please.
Mr. Chairman and members, Barry Broad on behalf of the Teamsters. I want to talk about employee substance abuse testing or driver testing. Since 1990, for the last 25 years, all drivers of people and freight are tested across the United States, millions of them. It's mandatory pre-employment, random, probable suspicion, and post-accident testing. These new TNC drivers are the only drivers that I'm aware of that aren't subject to this. It's a zero-tolerance system. It's been going for a quarter of a century, and I have to confess, we fought it, and we were wrong. We fought it, and we were wrong. And when they first started doing the testing, there were a lot of positive tests, like 3 or 4% of the drivers. It's now down to a fraction of 1%. And people with substance abuse problems, they just are not in our industry anymore. And this is across every mode of transportation. Buses, trucks, passenger cars that transport people, trains, planes, ships, everybody. The TNCs will tell you, well, we have this thing where people rate the driver. That's really nice, and that's kind of like the 1-800 how am I driving thing on the back of trucks, but it's not a program for stopping substance abuse or having a zero-tolerance policy. And the proof is in the pudding. In Houston, last fall, the city of Houston implemented for its TNC drivers a mandatory drug and alcohol testing program such as this bill. And now they had the app and all that stuff. But immediately, a large number of people stopped being TNC drivers because they knew that they would not pass the test. And that tells you something. An app is as good as an app is, but it can't substitute for this.
1 second.
Urgent aye vote. Thank you.
Next witness, please.
Thank you, sir. This is about public safety. I'm Marshall McLean, representing Los Angeles Airport Peace Officers Association, as well as PORAC, Peace Officers Research Association of California, representing 67,000 police and deputy sheriff's association throughout California. Coming from Los Angeles Airport, one of the busiest airports in the country, we have over 150,000 passengers a day. Just to give you an example of what we're dealing with, when we started calculating what was going on since 2013, we've had over 1,000 citations and over 500 vehicles towed because of people trying to skirt the system. LAX currently does not allow pickups by these drivers, but yet they're still doing it on a daily basis. I have to sit here and tell you I'm a little dismayed why things were taken out of this bill as far as public safety issues dealing with background checks. All this bill is doing is asking for these drivers to be regulated the same as any other driver that transports people throughout California. I urge your aye vote.
Next witness, please. 2 minutes.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you. Christopher Quinn. I'm a small business owner in the state of California as well, representing on the board for the 5,000 ground transportation operators for hire in the state of California. Also in the unique position of being a member of public safety, having the honor to serve the citizens of this great state for the last 28 years. I've seen the other side of it. I've seen that accident. I've seen that drunk driver, and I see what a toll it takes. The citizens in the state are due a higher duty of care, and the state rightfully has put that provision in place for all for-hire ground transportation companies in the state of California. That is something as small business owners and ground transportation, the cab companies, truckers, we all comply with every single day. My employees who are seasonal, who are part-time, and who are full-time comply with that program rather successfully to keep the roads and the passengers in the state of California safe every single day. It is said that this is in some way hampering the technology. This is in no way hampering the technology. The technology itself is exciting, and we want to encourage that in the state of California. What has not changed is the vehicle, the 3,000-pound automobile, and the driver of that car has not changed since the advent of the internal combustion engine in this state. I urge an aye vote to keep the citizens and passengers in those cars in the state of California safe.
Thank you. With that, members of the public that want to testify in support of the bill, please state your name, who you represent, and that you support the bill, please.
My name is Barry Korngold, and on behalf of the San Francisco Taxi Workers Alliance, I support the bill with these minimal safety requirements.
Next witness.
Mr. Chairman and members, I'll go because I didn't get in that line. Aaron Reed, representing California Association of Highway Patrolmen. They're all about public safety. You know that. That's why they support this bill.
John Lovell on behalf of the California Police Chiefs Association, the California Narcotic Officers Association, and the California College and University Police Chiefs Association. All about public safety. Strong support.
Next witness, please.
Mark Ruberg, San Francisco cab driver for Green Cab in support.
Next witness.
Sarah Johnson with the California Airports Council, which is comprised of 33 commercial service airports in the state. Very strong support.
Next witness, please.
Mr. Chair, members, Sarah Flox on behalf of the California Labor Federation in strong support. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Jason Eichert with Edelstein, Gilbert, Robeson, and Smith on behalf of the San Francisco International Airport in support of the bill. Thank you.
I'm Marcelo Fonseca, career cab driver, board member with Yellow Cab San Francisco in support of the bill.
Good afternoon. Tom Diesso, Yellow Cab board member, in support of this bill.
Marco Soto with the Taxicab Paratransit Association of California in support of this bill, and we'd like to see the DOJ background checks back in the bill. Thanks.
Any other members of the public would like to testify in support of the author's bill? Seeing none. Any members of the public that would like to testify in opposition to the bill, please bring 3 members up if you have. You'll each get 2 minutes for testimony. Please state your name and who you represent in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Sally Kay from Uber Technologies. Members, thank you for the time to testify today. We're opposed to AB 24. We believe it wholly unnecessary, and we don't think it solves the problems that it purports to present. The bill is another attempt to force TNCs into an old and outdated model that's failed to move with the realities of the new economy. We don't believe it's a safety bill. There are 3 reasons why we oppose this bill. We oppose the way that the pull notice program language is devised. We're actually not opposed to participating in the program, but we think that Mr. Assemblyman Cooper's Bill 1422 actually addresses it more appropriately, and we support that bill. A permanent decal is a holdover from the days when the only commercial vehicle on the road was a 24-hour commercial vehicle. Since 2013, California has acknowledged that TNCs are a completely different license. They're they're personal vehicles that are used in commercial use part of the time. There's no reason why law enforcement or anyone else would need to see from the bumper that this car is a TNC-associated vehicle. In fact, most TNC drivers are very part-time. With the Uber platform, we have the majority of folks on the system maybe 10, 20 hours a month. And so most of the time that car is on the road, it's actually not associated with the platform, making a decal completely really irrelevant. One exception worth noting is airports. I know that the airports have testified today. Airports are actually under a completely different sort of jurisdiction than the rest of the state, so we have to meet and negotiate with airports for the ability to operate on their grounds. We've done that in every major airport in California. We're working very closely with LAX, who I heard mentioned. SFO has actually touted our agreement as a national model, that they feel really good about the way that we've devised and used technology to allow them to feel comfortable with us on their property. Finally, on the drug testing, I want to make the point that ensuring safety for riders and drivers is the most important thing we do for obvious reasons. But there are a number of logistical issues that we run into on a drug testing requirement. The first being that a pre-employment or activation...
If I can get you to wind up in 1 sentence.
Sure. Drug testing before a TNC driver is activated does not predict any kind of activity on the system, and a random drug test is impossible because the drivers don't report to work.
Without commas. Thank you very much. Next witness, please.
Chang, a West Coast Public Policy Manager for Lyft. We are here in strong opposition to AB 24. Lyft is a transportation network company that is permitted and regulated by the CPUC. And we have 2 primary reasons why we are opposed to AB 24. The first is that the PUC already imposes very strict safety requirements on Lyft and other TNCs. And the second is that if this is a public safety bill, this only singles out TNCs. Now, to be totally clear, so the CPUC has very strict policies in terms of safety. One of them is that we definitely have a zero-tolerance policy. And now what does that mean, a zero-tolerance policy? It means that even if you have a DUI in the last 7 years, you are prohibited from driving on the app. That is not the case with other transportation industries. So you cannot even apply to be a TNC driver if you've had a DUI in the last 7 years. Now, so that's looking back, but this zero-tolerance policy also looks forward, meaning that if you have a zero-tolerance policy violation, if there is some sort of complaint, you are immediately suspended from driving as a TNC driver. So that's already twofold. That is something that is not the case for other transportation industries. Now, the other thing I want to note is that we also do very vigorous reporting to the CPUC. So the CPUC is collecting data right now about how the zero-tolerance policy is working, right? So we've all submitted this information. They can see how the complaints work, how it's investigated, et cetera. That is not the case for other transportation industries in the state of California. Now, second, I also want to note that the PUC obviously has the ability to revoke or suspend our permit if we violate our zero-tolerance policy or any of our safety checks. So that is definitely a very strong incentive for us to be compliant. Now, the other thing about this bill is that it targets TNCs. It doesn't actually apply public safety requirements across the board. What do I mean about that? So you could be a San Francisco taxi driver and be a taxi driver having had 2 DUIs.
Ma'am, can I get you to wind it down
absolutely.
with one sentence?
So, frankly, this bill imposes requirements on TNCs. So, first of all, most taxi drivers are not required to be drug tested in the state of California. You can look that up.
Next
Second,
witness, please.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
And so,
Thank you,
second,
ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, next witness, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. Ryan Sherman on behalf of Los Angeles County Professional Peace Officers Association, the Long Beach and Santa Ana Police Officers Associations, Sacramento County Deputy Sheriff's Association, and the California Fraternal Order of Police. We're all in opposition to this bill. We don't think it does anything to improve public safety. In fact, we're very concerned that it could reduce the safety on our highways and roads. We're concerned that if this were to pass, increased legislation or regulation on these companies would result in fewer riders. Our members have seen a improved number of lowered DUI arrests and homicides, and we're very concerned that we keep those numbers going in the right direction. We think this goes in the wrong direction, and for those reasons, we're opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you for that testimony. Members of the public, please state your name, who you represent, and that you're opposed to the bill.
My name is Patricia Mulholland. I am a senior citizen. I'm retired and a disabled veteran. I'm an Uber partner, and this helps me supplement my income. I'm strongly opposed to this legislation.
Next witness.
Robert Callahan with the Internet Association. We represent members of the sharing economy. We oppose the bill. Thank you.
Next witness.
My name is Mary Lou Lunsford. I'm an Uber partner, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you very much. Next witness.
Douglas Durbin, Uber partner, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you. Next witness.
My name is Melinda Hale. I'm a driver and also a writer, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you.
Rocky Apperson, Uber partner, driver, Folsom El Dorado Hills, retired peace officer, oppose the bill.
Thank you.
Anatoly Rafailov, oppose this bill, Sacramento.
Thank you.
My name is Dan Whitehead. I'm a citizen of Sacramento, and I oppose this bill. I'm a partner with Uber, too.
Thank you.
My name is Joseph Shanasi. I work for the Department of Transportation, and I oppose this bill.
Thank
It
you.
makes it very unsafe.
Thank you.
I'm Nadezhda Krutikova, single mom. I'm citizen, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carlos Jimenez. I'm from San Francisco. I'm a single dad, and I oppose this bill too. I'm a Uber partner too.
Hi, my name is Sabina Del Rosso. I'm an Uber rider in San Mateo and San Francisco, and I oppose this bill.
Hi, Joshua Miller, former Uber partner, and I strongly oppose this bill.
Jose Lopez, Uber partner and Uber rider. I oppose this bill.
Dennis Malore, Uber partner. I oppose this bill.
Joe Placencia, Elk Grove, California, Uber and Lyft, and I oppose this bill.
Doug Krebsbach, Folsom, California. I'm an Uber partner and Uber rider, and I oppose this bill.
Hello, Irene Basner, also a professional limousine driver locally, and I oppose this bill. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Austin Popolo, Uber partner. Oppose this bill. Thank you.
Edwin Caranche, Uber partner, and I strongly oppose the bill.
My name is Robinson Nuevo, and I'm Uber partner, and I oppose the bill. I'm from Roseville.
Good afternoon. My name is Africa Foxy Nicole Williams. I'm from Sacramento, and I'm an Uber partner. I strongly oppose the bill. I'm a single mother. I'm also a school counselor, and I drive Uber at night. I drive between
Ma'am,
10...
can you keep your testimony to you support or oppose?
I got 2 minutes, don't I?
No, you don't.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I drive a lot of drunk people, so y'all keep Uber going.
That'll be the next hearing. Thank you.
My name is Drell Todd. I'm an Uber partner, a disabled Vietnam veteran. Like the earlier lady, it supplements my income. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. And everybody that get in my car,
Sir.
life is important.
Thank you.
Maxine
Please
Bodowiz,
keep the
Uber
voice
partner.
down.
I oppose the bill.
Thank you.
My name is Susan Watt. I'm an Uber partner, and I hope you give everybody the
options of travel and safety and
Ma'am.
let the people
Ma'am,
I support.
Thank
you.
I think you oppose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Moira Top here on behalf of the Orange County Business Council in opposition.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, John Doherty on behalf of TechNet in opposition.
Thank you. I want to thank the Uber partners for your respect during the process. Very much. Thank you for being thoughtful. Mr. Committee members, any questions of the author? Mr. Dodd.
Yes, I'm a iPhone carrying Uber client, I guess, and I just wanted to make sure, because we've discussed this, Mr. Nazarian, that what I've heard is that across the board, these are uniform standards that we're requiring of taxi cab drivers and limo drivers, but yet I'm hearing testimony here that suggests that that's not necessarily accurate. Can you clarify, please?
Thank you, Mr. Dodd. I'm happy to. First and foremost, Section 53075.5 of the Government Code says, explicitly puts into writing in black and white, that mandatory controlled substance and alcohol testing certification program needs to be put into place. So there's no question, taxi cab drivers, bus drivers, black car, limousine drivers, all are subjected to this. I don't know why Uber, Lyft, and some of the other companies associated in this effort say that there are exceptions, but there's this code, and the code was chaptered in 1994 pursuant to a bill carried by Senator Ayala. Happy to provide the details to everyone.
Any questions of any of the committee members? I think that's Ms. Melendez.
Mr. Chairman, actually, could you? I wonder if through you, if you could ask the witness here from Lyft to respond to Mr. Nazarian's comments, please.
So would you please respond as requested by Ms. Melendez?
May I do so?
Yes, please.
Okay, yes, so that is correct. It is a 1994, actually my understanding is a 1996 law, so it's about 20 years old. It's also an unfunded state mandate. So therefore, several counties across the state do not have these same requirements. So for example, San Bernardino, Riverside do not have these requirements imposed on taxis. And therefore, this is requiring a higher standard for TNCs.
Mr. Dodd?
Sorry. I just want to get this right. If it's a mandate, how do these counties get out from underneath it?
Right. So it's an unfunded state mandate. So it's, if you look at the state constitution, Article 8B, Section 6A, local governments are not required to carry out most laws and regulations unless the Assembly appropriates funding to reimburse those local governments for those mandates.
Mr. Bloom? And then Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've had a number of conversations, the author and I have, about this bill, and I continue to have some serious concerns about it, and so today I'm opposed, but I would like to suggest some amendments that I think would be helpful, and hopefully that will allow me to move to a support position on the bill if it does move forward. First, I'd like to suggest that the language in the bill be revised such as to make it neutral as to employment status. The bill refers frequently to employee, and Uber has independent contractors, not employees, and I think that the status should just be neutral if it's going to move forward. Secondly, the requirement for a permanent designation, I think, should be changed to require placards in windows, which is what's commonly being utilized by the TNCs today. And I think it should delete the individual vehicle registration requirement, because I frankly think that for this model, that's not a workable requirement. And finally, I think the bill should, rather than on the alcohol and drug testing, rather than what it's requiring currently, should instruct the PUC to design a basic safety standard that covers all, I'll call them similar vehicles without going into a description of each type of vehicles out there, but it would include taxis, including franchised and other taxis, and the TNCs. Now, I do want to say when it comes to safety that I think that we are all equally concerned and want to maintain the highest level possible for public safety. And taxis and TNCs, through their advocates, both claim that their model for protecting the public is a better model. But I have yet to see substantial evidence that one is better than the other, or that either is deficient. And finally, I'd like to observe that it may be that there is more than one model that works for the people of the state of California that protects the public when it comes to safety issues like drug and alcohol use and some of the other issues that have been raised with respect to TNCs.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I haven't heard a good reason to oppose the bill yet from the opposition. Could maybe we have one of the people testifying just give me a good reason, other than we don't like it? Give me a good reason.
Please proceed.
Happy to, thank you. As stated, the decal system is more of a 24-hour commercial vehicle requirement that we think is outdated. The pull notice program refers to TNCs as employers, which we are not. And thirdly, the drug testing mandate does not actually show that it can reduce the impairment of a driver. If there is a pre-activation drug test, which is what would happen if a driver wanted to apply to the system, but we had to have them take a drug test before they did that, a driver would just wait until that test was clean, come in and take their test, and then get on the road. A bad actor would do that. If it was a random requirement, the only thing we could do is shut off their access to their app until they come in and take a test. If you're a driver and you're a bad actor, you would just wait a couple weeks or a week until your system's clean, come in, take that test, you're clean, you're back on the road. And lastly, we don't think that it's a consistent regulation statewide. My team called various cities to ask about the drug testing requirement, similar to the witness from Lyft. And in addition to the cities that she mentioned, the city of Corona, Riverside, Moreno Valley, San Francisco, Napa, Anaheim, none of those told us that they drug test the taxi drivers.
It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be drug testing, though. I'm not sure that the mandate question was really answered here. Okay, thank you. I don't think I've been given a solid reason other than we don't like it.
Any other questions from any of the other members of the committee? Ms. Melendez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so currently, limousine companies, taxi companies, they have this drug testing requirement in place, right? Yes. Okay, and so they go to... Thank you. They go to wherever they go to pick up their vehicle, and that is where they do their drug or alcohol testing. Is that correct? Do you know?
I'm happy to allow not only a business owner but a public safety professional to give you the whole rundown. I have two individuals here who know that system very well.
And so
I'll allow them to answer.
I don't want to make this hearing any longer than it is already going to be. So what I guess the point I'm getting to is for the taxi companies, limo companies, things like that, there is a central place in which these drivers go and have this drug or alcohol test administered. Is that a yes or a no? And please make it short, gentlemen. Okay?
Yes, I'll be brief. Absolutely. It's a pull notice program. They pull them in to the testing company that you subscribe to, if you will. So whoever that company is, you subscribe to one of the listed companies that PUC gives you in the state of California. The driver could have that car at home. The driver could have that car at the workplace. And when they come up, they're sent to that location. They do their test, and it moves forward.
Okay. And the young lady sitting next to you is shaking her head now. So, Mr. Chairman, if I could ask her to, thank you. We're here, so what the heck.
I just didn't want there to be confusion between the pull notice program and the drug testing program, because the pull notice program is actually about a driving record being sent to an employer, or in our hopes, an independent contracting relationship on a vehicle violation, a driving violation. It's not a drug testing program.
Okay, thank you.
Wait. I'm sorry.
There's millions of independent contractor truck drivers around. They have to enroll in a consortium themselves because they're independent contractors and they don't work for an employer. And under that system, the consortium tells them when to report for random testing, and before they're employed by a motor carrier. And the motor carrier that they work for or work through, if they're working for one as a subcontractor, observes whether they are acting intoxicated or whatever if they have probable suspicion testing. So it works both for employees and for independent contractors, the current drug and alcohol testing system.
Okay, I see. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll ask one more time if any of the committee members have any more questions of the author or the witnesses. Seeing none, I don't have a motion yet. Mr. Nazarian, would you like to close?
I'd love to, but I feel compelled to have to respond to some of the statements that were made. So, Mr. Chair, if you feel comfortable for me to take a couple of minutes and respond to some of the issues that came up, I'm happy to.
You can use it as your close.
Sure. First of all, Mr. Bloom, I'm happy to work with you. You talked about several issues that we talked about very recently. We've looked through the bill. I'm happy to look through it again and make sure that it's always driver as opposed to employee. As I mentioned to you before, I didn't even pick up on that distinction. I think most of the time the bill referred to a driver as such and not an employee. This responds to several questions that have come up. All this bill does is codify what PUC already is asking the companies to do when it comes to the decal program. I'm not saying anything new in this bill. It's not a permanent marker or a sticker on a bumper. I'm just saying whatever PUC comes up with, I'm codifying through this bill. I think it allows it to have a little more teeth. Because, again, let's be honest, regulations change overnight depending on who the PUC chair might be as well. And it's better for us to have the safeguard of codifying something. And I'm not being overly prescriptive. This bill is not being overly prescriptive, just saying let's codify what it's already existence in PUC after everyone has worked on it. First and foremost, the other thing is I just want to take a moment and thank all the employees and workers who took time to come out here and speak. I think that's reflective of many people in many industries, all of the industries that we're trying to offer some protections to. Because at the end of the day, this bill helps protect many of these employees as well. Because what it does is takes away the ability of one bad apple to ruin it for everybody else. We've seen this happen far too often. Over the course of October, November, December of last year, you saw countries after cities throughout the world banning some of the services provided by these companies. And so all this bill does is put in certain provisions that'll ensure that the drivers that are being accepted into the program have gone through certain measures to ensure public safety. This bill does not do anything to stifle the technology behind the business model. The business model simply does three things. Takes out the metering, takes out the dispatch, takes out the monetary transaction. It's a great idea. It's phenomenal what it's done. But it does not do anything in the human element of the business. There's still a driver involved. And we don't know what this driver is up to. Right now there's a program, Mr. Chair, called Shuttle. Just like Shuttle, but instead with D. And this program is an Uber for children, for the active and overly busy parents. There is no regulation safeguarding these children of who they're being picked up by. I don't want to go into fear-mongering right now, but you can imagine the types of folks that might be interested in getting into this business because they don't have to go through anything.
Mr. Nazarian, I'll ask you to close.
So with that, I'll just leave you with that. But the other thing is, when it comes to the public safety issue, public safety letter opposition was based on background checks. I've taken that provision out, and so it's somewhat disingenuous to be talking about that. And last but not least, it's just interesting to me when we talk about statistics, just this last new year, when the CHP officers did a check, both in LA County and in the overall state, the numbers have amplified of DUI driving. So that does not speak very well of what the service has done to lower the numbers. We need more education when it comes to that front. With that, I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
So I'll remind the members that there has been no motion.
I'll
First
move
and
the-
second. Mr. Chu and Mr. O'Donnell. Thank you, Mr. Nazarian.
Thank you.
I appreciate the amount of time you've put into this bill. Thank you for meeting with me. And I also want to thank all the stakeholders that took the time to meet and discuss the merits of this bill. Those conversations were very helpful. At the end of the day, it's imperative that we have a standard baseline that charter party carriers and TNCs can follow. And while regulations have in fact set up a framework for TNCs to follow, there's definitely the potential for companies to cut corners and take a cursory approach to ensuring passengers are safe. This bill establishes a baseline set of requirements that charter party carriers, including TNCs, must follow. Nothing in this bill preempts TNCs from incorporating a higher standard into their business model. And I applaud companies like Uber and Lyft that have set up sophisticated systems to check on drivers and allow passengers to report suspicious activity of their drivers. But what about the startup TNCs or smaller TNCs with limited resources? This bill will ensure all charter party carriers are able to meet a baseline set of standards. And as I mentioned many times in this committee, public safety is a priority for me. Mr. Nazarian, I'll be supporting your bill today. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian. Baker. Bloom. Bloom, no. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Chu. Chu, aye. Daly. Dodd. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Kim. Linder. Linder, no. Medina. Medina, aye. Melendez. Melendez, no. Nazarian. Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye. It's 8-3.
It's 8-3. That bill is on call. We'll leave the roll open for absent members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.